Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 69 of the Pod of War Gamescast. I'm your host, Eowif Gizmo, joined this week by Massive Das Chris Pengelly.
Hey, everyone.
And Mr. fucking Craig Warren. How's it going?
Hello.
Boys, we made it. We made it to 69. We knew we would. So I'd like to thank us all for making it to 69.
I'm just impressed that you're keeping count, Dave.
Well, I mean, this is like shows the attention that Craig pays. I actually do put the number after every thumbnail, Craig, on the videos.
Nice.
So, yeah. But anyway, episode 69. We'll talk about some shenanigans later, as we always do. But before we get to that, let's talk about our general housekeeping. Let's start with Pengy. Not with me.
Oh.
I'm too important. Pengy, what have you bought?
Yeah.
What have you been playing without going too deep into VR2? Because that's a topic later.
So I've bought two things.
Two things, everybody.
I bought an SSD for my PS5. So I've installed that.
And how big is that?
So that is 1 terabyte.
How much is that?
That was £99.
It's actually not that bad.
Crikey.
It's not that bad.
Because I bought one that, wasn't PlayStation branded, but, was PlayStation
approved.
Compatible.
Yeah.
Yeah, approved. So, because they did exactly the same one, and I think it's like 130. Basically, it's blue instead of orange, from what I can tell.
Penguil's, of course, paying the price for wanting to play Destiny 2 in 2023.
Because it's like 115 gigabytes, so you got to get more storage. So I bought that.
Please tell me you've not paid that to play Destiny 2. Please.
Well, I bought it because I needed more space. Because like Gran Turismo 7 was 99 gig, for instance. I downloaded Horizon Forbidden West. That's like 90 gig as well, and so it needed more space. There's only like 800 gigs in the PS5 to start with. So
love it. And what else did you buy, Pengy?
As a bit of a weird one, I needed to order something from my dad from Amazon, and normal postage would have been $4.99.
Hold the phone.
Yeah.
Pengy, do you not have Prime?
No, what would I have Prime for?
You buy games all the time.
Yeah, but they're like RRP on Amazon, so.
But you don't just buy everything from Amazon and get next day delivery. Like, I mean, not even like games, just like
I buy everything from Prime. 69 quid a year. I get TV with it. I get music with it.
I literally would not use it at all. I cannot.
Well, you don't buy anything. I literally anything
I buy
you can think
on
of.
Amazon. Literally everything. Every birthday, Christmas, like paper, pens, anything I need. Everything in this room.
Sometimes
food, like Morrison's is on there cheekily now.
Next day delivery, easy, boom.
No,
free.
I barely use Amazon.
This is why this finally starting to make sense why he hates Game Pass. If he can't get on board the most basic subscription, how is he going to enjoy the more?
Yeah, I just don't get the point. Like, I buy a lot of video games, but why would I pay 50 quid if I can go get them off like Game Collection for like 30 quid, and they have free delivery as well, and you get points? I just don't.
I buy like not just games, but everything. Everything comes from Amazon. And it just appears the next day. I have to think about it. It's great.
You can track it.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, but I clearly just don't buy enough stuff outside of video games, I guess.
Now we know. Anyway, sorry, Pengles.
Yeah, but anyway, it was $4.99 postage. Or if you spend 14 quid more, that's 14 quid more on the the original fee. You got free postage. So I was like, "What? Do I spend $5.90? Do I spend a $5 on postage, or do I spend basically 9 quid more to make the 14 quid to get pay?" So I bought Hey Pikmin for the 3DS.
God, we were having a flashback chat about the 3DS just before we went live, weren't we, Craig?
Yes.
Bit weird. But I mean, are you going to play it? Because it's not great. I'll be honest.
I may play.
There it is.
There's more chance of him playing something on the Game Boy Advance Switch thing than there is of that, Dave. And even that's not very high, buddy. So this is kind of like last week when you bought. Was it you bought a game with Bayonetta?
Yeah.
You ended up spending more money for something you won't use, basically.
Well, yeah, because I just thought I'm not paying £5 for postage.
But I will pay £9 for postage on a game I won't play.
Sort of, yeah, because that was 16 quid. So I paid 16 quid for a brand new sealed
Dave.
3DS game
Yes, mate.
in
How much
2023.
is Amazon Prime just for the month?
$7.99, I believe.
So that was cheaper, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You could
I
use
would
that
have
for the whole
only-
month.
Yeah, but I'm not going to have a month for things delivered. I wanted one thing delivered, and I wasn't paying a £5 to get that thing postage. So I was like, right, I'm going to spend the 14 quid, so 9 quid. So I was like, well, I need to find something for 14 quid, but actually it was 16. So
It's just that it's bad enough anyway that your logic is completely broken. But the fact that you went and bought a 3DS game you won't play instead of, like, I don't know, any old PS5 game you could have just then sold on. You know, like I've seen like Direfield Chronicles, 20 quid. You could just sold that and made 25 quid back, or destroy all humans or something fun, Pinky. But no, Craig, he bought Hey Pikmin on the 3DS.
Yes.
That's going to stay sealed.
Which I assume is in a drawer at the moment.
No, it's actually on a shelf because the Nintendo games have a shelf.
God.
But so that's all you bought, was it, Pinky?
Yes, I bought.
Now, did you play a video game this week?
I played a bit, and this is going to even shock you even more. I've only played handheld all week.
Wow.
This week gone.
Must have
So I've played-
broken his TV. That new one must be on order. Ironically, easier to get from Amazon.
Right. So I've played some Kirby
That
Return to
come from my
Dreamland.
TV did come from Amazon.
And mine, same.
So Kirby, the Return to Dreamland. I've played some of that. Looks really good on the Switch OLED on the screen. So I think I've just got to World 5 on that, and I think there's 7 worlds plus obviously there's the new epilogue, which this has got over the original on Wii. It's classic Kirby fare.
Lovely, Pengy.
And I also played yesterday again in handheld because it was on the 3DS. I finally finished Fire Emblem Revelations.
Crikey.
There we go. 3DS getting its
Where's
use.
Where's it right in the Fire Emblem rankings?
Oh,
I'm sure there's a list somewhere.
Yes, it's about 4th or 5th on the list. I only have a top 9, so I need to play something else to make a top 10.
Is it higher or lower than Engage?
It is just lower than Engage.
Okay.
I've decided, yeah.
Oh, it's a damning indictment, isn't it, of Engage?
Yeah, so it's goes Awakening, 3 Houses, 3 Hopes, Engage, and then Revelations.
There you go.
And then Birthright and Conquest, you can basically put like together on the saying it's hard to like separate them.
Lovely, Pengy.
Yep.
Lovely. Well, we'll move on to here we go. So what have you been buying, selling, doing in life?
So on the mighty Xbox, I finished Shadow Warrior.
I see you've
I think
got
I was
like
pretty
90-something percent from what I can see.
Yeah, I pretty much was on the final boss, I think, last time we podcasted. So I killed that little bitch ass and finished that. Didn't even the final cutscene played. I'll be honest, I just turned around and was watching something on YouTube. I had no idea what was going on. Summoned of a dragon. I think the dragon died. I think I killed it.
That's just me.
It's a fun ass little game. I got 95% on it, Davo, which is at 910G, and about 7.5 hours. So that's absolutely fine for what it is. Didn't need to be any longer. You do unlock a new game plus and all sorts of other stuff, but for what that game is, you don't need more than 7.5 hours. And then the other thing I played on the Xbox, played a bit more Monster Hunter Rise. Unlocked another achievement, boys, which was a 20G achievement this time.
Ooh.
So I'm now up to the dizzying heights of 12% on Monster Hunter Rise,
Nice.
which is 6 out of 50. I think I am hunter level 5 at the moment. I think I've got like 4 or 5 quests left in that rank. So I'm trying to do like all the quests in each rank before I move on. And then I do the urgent quest and then start again. So we're getting there with that. And then me and Dave and Pete and Day also played some Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition,
That we did.
which is a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. I'll be honest with you. It's
Hell yeah.
it's a very well done console port. I think plays very intuitively on the controller. Looks really good as well on the Series X with HDR and all of that. And it's just a super fun, chill game to play. Like, you're just kind of managing you're managing your little people and your villagers, and you're slowly building things, and everything's kind of getting bigger and grander. You can almost kind of just forget about the whole military aspect of it until Damon comes and brutally murders us all.
That's what he does.
That's what he does. He ruins everyone's fun. But yeah, it's really, really fun. I think I've done like the first 2 or 3 of the tutorial campaign. I kind of want to play more of the campaign, but there's a lot of content there.
Mhm.
I think I had a little sneaky look on how long to beat. I think it's like 35 hours. So I feel like maybe once I'm like done with Monster Hunter Rise until the DLC, like Age of Empires 2 could be like my second game. You know what I mean? My sneaky second game on like Xbox. I just kind of pop into and do like, a few campaign missions every now and again because it's the perfect get your feet up, you're kind of chilling out, relaxing, and just playing. And time does just vanish to it. That is the only problem. But I think we played a campaign map was like 2 hours the other night,
Yes,
and that just
we played a
flew
grand total of
by.
3 hours that night.
Yeah, that time just vanished,
Mhm.
which I mean is a common problem with like PC games, isn't it?
Yes, but it was fun. Like it was
Yeah,
genuinely
it was
fun. Like I
great.
got up the next day and played like an hour and a half in the morning.
Yeah,
And it's one of those where like the achievements are tough, but they are like win with each race is 5Gs. Like each race is 5G, so like you just go through them, win with each of them, beat this AI on different difficulties. There's another one like I think all of the campaign you can play in co-op as well. I'm
yeah,
pretty sure. But like
it's super fun.
and they've actually put out more content. The game came out in what 99 or something, and they were like, "Hey, we've done 2 new expansions now. If you want to buy them, just for this like new release." So it's like there is even more content.
Yeah, it's
It's
crazy.
ridiculous. And then
I had
the fourth one's
no
coming
real
out.
interest in 4 coming to console, but now I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, four for us could be the next big massive let's play a couple times a week online game.
Yeah, it's
To be
great.
honest, because we're gonna have people like Damon will play it, Pete will play it, Damon's brother will play it. Like they'll be on and they'll play it. They'll obsessively play it. So it's like okay, yeah, love a bit of that. Game Pass. Who knew?
Yeah, great shit. And then on the Switch,
It
I
lives,
finished.
by the way. It lives.
I finished Metroid Dread, boys. I did it. I fucking did it.
You just I did finish Metroid Prime since last podcast.
Pengos does this
Hell
when he
yeah.
forgets his own games.
I finished it like the day we recorded the last podcast. So
Question is,
A long
Craig,
time
where
ago.
does it rank in your top? I mean, must be a maximum of top 5 Switch games at this point.
no, it's near the bottom of the Switch games.
No, I was talking to Craig Warren.
Uh,
Actually, you know what, Craig, save it because it's actually part of the thing we'll talk about later.
Yeah, finished it. 170 deaths in the end, Dave.
Bear in mind, I played the demo and probably died 30 times, so fair play. Controls
Yeah.
killed me more times than anything else, I will say, but
Yeah, it's a shame because I feel like if the controls were better, I would place this a lot higher. Definitely,
it's my Metal Gear Solid problem. Is the
yeah.
weird Japanese controls from they haven't, even though that game came out 5 years ago in terms of Dread, like it plays like the game that came out 20 years ago, and it's weird.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's from times when I'm guessing you only had one stick, but it just seems so mental when now I'm looking at a second stick. It's there, I can touch it, I can flick it with my thumb, and we're ignoring it.
Yeah.
But the game is good. It does a really good thing as well, where it it's got quite a lot of locations. I think there's like 7 or 8 different locations on the map in all. And it can almost look a little bit overwhelming, but it does a good job of like not feeling linear, but kind of like pushing you in the right direction without you even really knowing that it's pushing you. It does a good job of making you feel like you're smarter than you are. Is probably the best way. Like you
It's not
think,
harder, is it?
no, you think you're like, oh, I'm figuring this out. I'm doing, like, I'm
Ooh,
just
I'm big brain.
I'm going straight to the right place. And I think a lot of it is actually the game is just very subtly pushing you in that direction. It does a good job of that. It's very satisfying in that regard. So yeah, I finished that. I've started Kirby. I think I'm on the 5th world on Kirby.
It's obviously the same one as Pengy, the Return to Dreamland Deluxe
Yes.
remake, Wii edition, or whatever.
Obviously, I'm playing it exclusively in handheld. I haven't since the Switch resurgence. It hasn't been docked like other than to charge
yeah.
once. Yeah, once. It does, like Chris said, it does look very good on the OLED, and obviously it being 2D, kind of plays very well with that. I don't think it's as good as is it the Forgotten Land, the other one
Yeah.
that came out, the 3D one?
The
I
one
think
I need
that's
to
much
give
better.
back to you, actually. You need to remind me of this next time you have a day off.
Yeah, just because I feel like that's got a bit more like character and charm to it, and a bit more like uniqueness of the abilities. Whereas this is quite easy. It's actually quite nice playing a nice easy game after Dread, because Dread was just
Hard.
brutal and dying and hard. Yeah, whereas this is obviously very chill. It's the perfect like, oh, I've got half an hour before work. I can do 2 levels in half an hour. I'll just pick up, play half an hour, and move on.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's literally why it's been the only game I've pretty much played this week. And again, why I've played handheld. Like I can do like 1 or 2 levels from that. That's it. It's all good.
Yeah, it's perfect for that. I think this. I couldn't sit there and play this for like multiple hours because it is quite easy and it's quite simple. And I think
I don't think it's
you
that
would
long,
get
if I'm honest, Craig.
no. I think you would get bored quite quickly, but yeah, it's perfect for just like half an hour here or half an hour there. And then the only kind of pickup I've got is my mid podcast purchase from last week, which my Metroid Prime remastered did
Hell
arrive.
yes.
It survived the dog as well, because the dog did have a go at it when it came through the post. But luckily, the Nintendo Switch cases are small, aren't they? So she missed it and just got the actual cardboard packaging, which is lucky.
Love it. Oh, quite a little successful week for you, Craigo.
Yeah, finished off some stuff, started some new stuff.
I can't wait to get to Prime, because I know obviously you've played it before, like Dave, but this has been the first time I've played it like sort of properly and going in knowing how good it is, and then getting to the end and stuff like that, and it's like it has aged. There's a few things like wrong. Yeah.
Well, we will.
It is always the problem
it's like
with that sort of thing. When you don't have the nostalgia for it, it can be a little more
Well, we
difficult.
will absolutely talk about it in the second part of the show. But yes, Prime, good stuff. Much like Amazon Prime, if we're honest.
But not the drink Prime.
Not
Yeah?
the drink Prime.
Not
No,
the drink.
not the drink Prime.
No.
No, we're not following too many trends. As for your boy, swiftly moving away from Prime. In terms of purchases, there's only been one. Well, I mean, it wasn't one. It was actually 72 things. But what I bought was Humble Bundle, our good friends. Humble Bundle. We're doing the Turkish Syria Earthquake Relief Bundle on Humble Bundle, where you can pay at least $24.92 to get 72 games, Pengy. And in those 72 games include Gotham Knights, Ghost Runner, Pathfinder, Payday 2, XCOM 2, Euro Truck Simulator 2. We got System Shock 1 and 2. We got Strange Brigade. What else we got on here? Fucking Flim, Crimson of Sun, Christel, Worms Rumble, Armello. We got some good stuff. Monaco's a good game. We got that as well. Death Square's a good game. We got that as well.
I can't wait for you to play the original System Shock.
Well, System Shock and System Shock Enhanced Edition. Thank you. Both Steam Deck verified. And also Guilty Gear X2, because I know Pengy loves Guilty Gear, so we'll mention that. So obviously the main selling point for that, as obviously I am, as we'll talk about in depth later, Mr. Steam Deck, is basically getting Gotham Knights, Ghost Runner, XCOM 2 and various indie games for like 24 quid is actually a ridiculously good deal. So, of those games that I've been playing so far, I've actually been playing I played about 2 hours of Gotham Knights, which is not verified, but it's playable. It's one non-playable thing is that it's the text is quite small, so you have to like zoom the text sometimes. I haven't actually had a problem with the text, so I don't know if it's later in the game the text is bad, but whatever. I'm actually really enjoying that game. It works really well as a handheld. Like a super works well as a handheld game. The kind of like shorter mission structure, like leveling system is like kind of fun. Like it's just a Batman game, right? It feels like Batman. But it's yeah, the game has had a second life for me. Been able to play it on Steam Deck, and I've really enjoyed.
Did you get Second Life with your bundle?
Funny. I don't know. Probably. There's so many games I've got. There's so many cat games. I don't know what's going on. But yes, that was that's the only game I've bought this week, and that's what I was playing on my Steam Deck. I've also been playing some more Half-Life 1 on the Steam Deck. It's starting to get to the point where I'm like, I can see why they want me to use a mouse and keyboard here. So that may have to get moved, and I might have to go straight on to Half-Life 2. It might extend, but it's still kind of fun. And obviously still Trails in the Sky, because that game apparently doesn't end. Because that's like, I think like 35 hours in at that point. There's also been a Football Manager update.
But it's JRPG, surely it's going to be like 70 hours.
I think, I mean, it's also one of those.
That's a tutorial, right, Dave?
Yeah, it feels like it. But it's a fun game. The game still, story-wise, is one. It might even... There could be an argument for it to be top 5 JRPGs for me by the end, the way the story's going, to be honest with you. But we'll cross that barrier when we get to it. But and obviously Football Manager's had a data update. And it's got cross-save with everything Steam, so I can play it on my Mac. And then move on over, Craig, and play it on my Steam Deck. And just, fully immerse my life. I never have to be too far away from Football Manager at any given time. As for real consoles, as Chris Pingelli would say, on the Switch, I have played Super Mario Party Superstars with my girlfriend when we were drunk, and it was fun.
Nice.
She learned the true bullshit of Mario Party when.
Did you crush her into
No, I didn't crush her. What happened was she landed on chance time on her last turn, and Donkey Kong took all her coins and stars. So she went from first to last. Almost cried. It was funny.
Brutal.
She won the second game, but yeah. And then we always play Drunken Mario Kart. And if you know Drunken Mario Kart, boys, the rules are very simple. You have a drink. You must finish that drink by the end of the race, but you're not allowed to drink and drive. You must pull over to the side of the road and finish that drink. And it is a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And when I get a flat again, we will absolutely stream us playing Drink and Drive Mario Kart. Chris can drink Pepsi Max if he doesn't want to drink alcohol. It's not a problem. He can get.
I really need to go back and do the added tracks. I've only done the first.
Well, funny you should say that. The next expansion pack lands on Friday.
Nice.
I believe, or
How
Thursday.
Many been out at this point? It's got
Thursday,
yeah.
4 of
March
6.
9th, not March 10th.
Which is Thursday. Day after my birthday, boys. But yeah, it's wave 4 of 6. There's a new character this time. That's where you get Birdo. So, or as we named her in Mario Party, the Suck, for obvious reasons. But yeah, that was the Switch. That's what the Switch's life has been for me this week. And then moving on to the big boys. No PlayStation this week. Haven't turned it on. So Horizon will go back into the dust again until I can drag myself through it. But what I have been playing is a lot of Xbox. A lot of Xbox. So the aforementioned Age of Empires stint with the boys was fun. Probably going to play that again because we play on Tuesdays now. Obviously, you guys are probably watching Talk Town, but I will absolutely go and watch. Probably play a couple hours of Age of Empires. Really got quite heavily into Yakuza Like a Dragon now. I think I'm in chapter 5. I've started doing all of the side quests for all that side questy goodness, or the sub stories. Nice. Game's great. I can't say much more. It's just great. It's might be one of the best games on Game Pass.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
It's ridiculously good. And then what else have I played next? Obviously, on my near addiction to WRC 9. Is almost at its end. I've got literally one race that's so frustrating and difficult. I've restarted it 75 times and I've just left it for the time being because I want to throw a controller at this last race I need to do to get the last 2 achievable achievements. I've even done the achievement, Craig, where you win a race on 150% difficulty.
Nice.
Done that. I've got the RNG achievement for getting 4 legendary crew members. But I'm going to miss out on finish an online race because you can't get anyone to play online with you. So I'm going to end that game on 98%. But also, I forgot to mention in my purchase, WRC 10 was £5 on the Xbox sale, so I bought that ready for when I finish WRC 9, and I never have to stop being a World Rally Champion, Craig.
You go again.
We move, we carry on. But yeah, there's a lot of fun Xbox stuff. Actually, Game Pass. We talked about it on the show. The selling, if you're keeping track of the selling chart, I'm well over £1,200 sold now on my old games, and it's kind of got to the point where I'm actually everything's probably going to go. Because I just keep seeing stuff. I keep like seeing GameCube games that I've finished and will never play again, and they're like, yeah, 125 quid, and I'm like, why? I mean, I'll take it, but why? So we've started getting to that point. So I've been utilizing the Game Pass goodness a lot more this last couple of weeks, and really enjoying it because they just keep throwing games out, Craig. As soon as we think, oh, you know what, I might get into Monster Hunter Rise, like, oh no, here's 14 more games. I'm like, what? Why have you given me Soul Hackers 2 now? Like, I'm not going to like. City Skylines remastered? Like, what? They've remastered it? Oh, for Christ's sake! So
it is tough. It's just tough.
It's a tough life, you know. F1 22 went on this week.
I was going to say, are you going to jump into
and you know what else they've done, Craig? They've gone right. Game Pass perk, have the Ultimate Edition DLC for it. So you got the.
Is that the newest one?
It's the newest one because 23
nice.
is the next one that comes out. Will come out like a couple of months' time. So
Yeah.
the newest one with all the content. The like extra stuff for the career mode, and like, because you usually have a story mode, like, yep, it's all out there now for free. It's an Xbox Game Pass perk as well as the game being on Game Pass. So it's like, cool. And I think they've just reduced F1 Manager as well. I think that's currently like 15, 16 quid on the Xbox store. Really highly recommend that game. Probably the next pre-order will be F1 Manager 23, if I'm honest, because it'd be 50 quid again, and I'll buy it because I love it. I got the platinum, so this time I'll get on Xbox, to be honest.
Yeah, and can you do better than actual Ferrari?
That's not difficult. It's trying to do better than Aston Martin. It'd be the difficulty. But yes, that is what I've bought. And that's what I've been playing this week. So let's go on to the topic of the show. So it was difficult. There wasn't really a lot happening this week. I know we've had like 1,000 showcases.
There's 2 more still to come this week. Well, one's the Mario movie, and the other one's Capcom.
Obviously, Chris will be covering that.
God, when is Capcom paying?
I feel it's the 9th. I feel it's the 9th as well. Everything's happening on the 9th.
What a day! Big day.
Metroid Fusion for Nintendo Switch Online. New courses for Mario Kart, Mario Movie Direct, and possibly Capcom.
And my first full day of being a 33-year-old man. The most important.
I told you, it's all happening on
Thursday. But before we get to Thursday, we're going to talk about. It was really hard to come up with a topic this week, so I kind of had a bit of a brainwave, and I was like, well, let's talk about our secondary systems. So, and this is obviously as soon as I said it and I put it in the chat, now Chris is going to point out that actually what you want me to talk about is my quadruple. So what I mean is the Xbox and the PlayStation and the Switch can all be considered a main system depending on your type of playstyle, right? So like for Chris, they're all, apart from this week, ironically, TV-based home consoles.
Yes.
Because Chris buys everything, I buy everything. So it's like you have to have something weird to be your side, whereas Craig only ever buys Xbox. So anything that isn't an Xbox is a side console.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So what I wanted to talk about, and we're going to get Chris on this first, because I think he's the most fascinating. Like, where do you feel your side piece of choice is at this moment? How do you think it's gone so far this year? And how do you see the rest of the year trailing out? So obviously the one that the clickbait one is Chris's one. That's the thumbnail. So Chris, talk to me about the PlayStation VR2.
Yeah, unfortunately, and I did say this when we did one of the podcasts ages ago. If it turned up like the February 28th when the postage was due, I was like, I don't know when I'm actually gonna play it. And it's actually, thankfully, it came out on I came on the 23rd, and I had 2 days off, so I managed to play it quite a bit then. But since then, I've not really played much. And actually, again, we had the State of Play, which had like the 5 games on it, but there hasn't really been any news or anything since. I know it's only just come out, so I guess no one wants to go like mad with news, because I guess they still want you to play Horizon and Call of Duty. We do have Switchback, which is like, I guess, is one of the bigger games coming out this month on the 16th. I don't know if I'll get it right away because it's like 34 quid for a digital title. So yeah, we talked about before, when I have played it, so like Gran Turismo and Horizon are are fantastic. Like Gran Turismo, like I played oddly when I installed my SSD. I played a little bit of Gran Turismo because it did an update. It was like 1.7 or something. Did one race and I was like, this is really boring. Not in VR. It's like driving around in my Mini Cooper. This is pretty boring. But in VR, like driving a Mini Cooper, it's actually fun and interesting sort of thing. So it's a weird system, especially because it's like your two systems are their own systems, where this is an add-on. So it's like, how much like content are you going to get, or will you get games like Resident Evil 4 with a VR mode that adds, add to it, or will Final Fantasy 16 get an add VR mode like 15 did, like that sort of stuff. So it's interesting where it goes from here.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean,
How confident are you that it gets the support thingy?
Pretty confident for the first couple of years. If you look at PSVR1, like the first couple of years was like pretty decent. You had big stuff. You had like Resident Evil, Doom, Skyrim. Obviously, there was some first party stuff running for like Firewall and that. I guess it's a attach rate and install base. If they do that 2 million this fiscal year or whatever, that's pretty good. When PSVR1 only did 5 million in its whole lifetime of like 5 years, a sort of thing. If they can build on that and have the titles, and then I've talked about like before, like prices and stuff like that. If like Firewall from the trailer looks really, what we've seen looks really good. If that comes out and it's digital only, like Horizon, Call of the Mountain, and it's 60 quid like Call of the Mountain, that's putting me right off. Will it put others off as well, especially like an online like shooter? So there is some like steps of that. Like the tech is great. It's like the content and stuff and that, and will games like Village and 16 and 4 have VR modes? Will Spider-Man 2 have like a little VR game? So like Concrete Genie, for instance, like I've got the 100%, and I know you've got like the 94%, Dave, on that, because we both got the platinum, but they had some DLC trophies for the VR mode. Like, will there be games like that? It's like, here's a little VR mode to, like, for the VR audience of the content, or like a new Astro game. Like, what's that studio working on? Like a new Astro game would be pretty good to come. So there's definitely scope to build out on the VR front.
yeah, it's interesting. It's because like I said, it's the most different thing because it's so niche and so different a play style that it's interesting to see like which way it's gonna go. Because like what even Craig said before, like it had this kind of big boost, and even our channel kind of shows like people wanted the content and people wanted to see, and like you were really passionate about making videos for it. And then since it's come out, and people had that initial like, here, this is Horizon, and this is these, like I've not heard a thing. Like, you know,
well, like I said, like unfortunately, like this week, like sort of being busy, but I would do like a news video or something like before we had any announcing videos like this game's been announced or whatever, but there hasn't been like any news sort of things. You can't like you know do anything with that. So when we've only just had the state of play, so I guess it was only like a week ago those 5 titles news. So I guess that's why we've not had anything. For instance, like Beyond the Eyes comes out this week. I think it comes out Friday. That I most probably will pick that up. It's like 10, 11 quid. It's a quite short experience, and that is one like I said, I've played before on PC. So how it translates, over sort of thing. But yeah, like Switchback could be interesting. How like that reviews and like content going up on that, and people talking about that one, because that's like the first game after launch, the first big game sort of after launch of the system.
I think the summer is going to be like important for this, isn't it? Because there's a lot of talk that the reason the state of play was so bad is because Sony's holding back a lot of their bigger announcements for their like summer E3 sort of show. So if you get to that and there's not a lot of big PSVR2 news, then I guess that would when you would start to be worried.
starts
Then
stinking a Vita, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
yeah, there's even with PSVR1, that was something like Sony did have games, and you had I think it's London studio that put obviously quite a lot of games out on there, and you got like Fire Sprite that's done obviously Call of I think it's Fire Sprite that do Call of Mountain. So if they have these studios that are making VR content and just VR content, that's thing. But then like MetaQuest 2 and the Pro version, which isn't really for gaming, but you can play a game, just have a price cut, and rumors of Quest 3 coming this year, I believe, which may also help like PSVR thing if there's games crossed between all the VR platforms and stuff like that. That if you're making a VR game, that if you've got a bigger install base in the VR realm, that might help as well.
And then you'll buy them and you'll be covering them for us, Chris. So I think the big question is on mine and Craig's lips. Do you think yours survives the year?
Yeah.
Out of 10, how confident are you?
8.5.
Okay. How little do you agree with that, Craig?
Like I said, I think it will all come down to the summer. I think if nothing big is announced and it's not selling the way that you're expecting it to, and if any prices start going down, then that's when I think you start to wobble, because suddenly that you don't want to lose too much money on that £550. So yeah, I think like I said, the summer it's gonna be big. That show, you need some big stuff there, Pengy, aren't you?
But I feel that show will be Spider-Man 2. Here's Silent Hill 2. This is the date for that, coming October, and that sort of thing. Maybe Rebirth. I don't think it'll be a huge lot of VR. Maybe like a 10 minutes is a real.
Well, it needs two
It needs
first
to
party
be.
games. That's what it needs.
Yeah,
It needs
for
to be like
£550, it has to, doesn't it?
like even if it is the same as the VR, like here's Killzone, here's something else. Like here's a Sackbot, here's an Astrobot or something. Like it needs to have that first party reason for you to play it, because like you said, like if it's not, then what's the point of having it when you can get a Quest 3 or a Vive or something else that's like just, you know what I mean, like its own platform, like you said earlier. So it's like, because the problem with the PlayStation stuff is like it's the double-edged sword. Like it's great that you're getting PlayStation games, but then you're paying PlayStation prices for those games. And it's like you got Call of the Mountain with yours, but it's a 60 quid game otherwise. It's like, it's no way that you'd pay 60 quid for it.
Exactly. That's what I was saying about Firewall. We know that's coming this year. That's the Killzone is not obviously, but if like you compare it to the Vita of Killzone Mercenary, this is the Killzone Mercenary for VR2. It's just like, but if it's 60 quid, that's a lot of money for a digital. Unless they do a physical version, that would obviously sort of tempt me. But I think again, if it's only digital, 60 quid will put off a lot of people. But then PSVR1, apart from like Perp and a few others, like Limited Run, like physical games, it's sort of like drive off that. Like you did get Doom and stuff like to begin with, and Skyrim to begin with, physical in VR. So there's only been digital in the last few years on PSVR1, but then there's not been a huge amount of games like the last couple of years, from what I can tell and remember.
Love it. Well, we'll move on from the PSVR2 for now, but there will be another chat. We'll definitely have a catch up about PSVR2 again at some point.
I just need like a weekend off whenever that is, and play some PSVR2.
We've still got the
weekend.
PSVR2 review video to come yet, Chris, so don't worry. We'll wait until you've played it for that. But on the other end of the spectrum, if you will, we got Craig and his Switch.
Which is it's getting a lot of use, to be fair.
So
especially this last week.
It's outlived the PS4. I think we can agree that it's not the PS4. It's had a second life, which the PS4 never got. So
yeah, because I owned the PS4 for quite a while, but I stopped playing it for ages.
Well, we had a running tally, if you remember. I think it got to like 18 months or something. You didn't turn it on.
Yeah. Whereas the Switch obviously had the big renaissance.
Nice.
And I've probably played in like smaller sessions, probably equally as much Switch as I have Xbox in the last like week and a half, I reckon.
Yeah.
Just because of just like it's all handheld. I have no real will. Like I own a bloody Pro controller, and I'm like, why do I buy that? I never plug it into the telly. And it's a nice controller, isn't it? And it's just like, oh, I don't really need that, do I? But yeah, it's I hope it carries on. I hope it doesn't go back to it just gathering dust again. And it shouldn't do because there's enough like good games on it, and Nintendo do a good job of just pumping out endless stuff, whether it is new games or whether it is remakes or remasters. Which, in fairness, all the remakes and remasters are new to me because obviously,
Yeah.
not being a Nintendo person, that makes the Kirby Return to Dreamland. It's just basically a completely new thing for me. Whereas if I had a Wii, obviously I'd struggle to get excited for it, I'd imagine.
Yeah, and I think for you, like you said, like you got Metro Prime that's just come out, which is ostensibly a new game to you.
Yep.
So it's like, and you haven't played all of the backlog of the Switch. So you still haven't played
There's
Breath of the
so much.
Wild and
It's
Mario
hilarious.
Odyssey and.
I was thinking about this the other day because this is my this would be the second Kirby game I own now. And the second Kirby game that I finished. I've never finished a Mario game.
Which is mad.
How sickening does that make you
Yeah,
two?
that's
I've
mad.
never finished a
And
Mario
there's at
game.
least 3 good ones on the Switch
I
as well.
know.
At least
There's
3
so many
good
options. You got Odyssey, you got that 3D World
3D
Bowser's
World's
game,
really
you got
good.
the 2D
You got New Super Mario U
Wii U
Deluxe,
one.
which you'd love because it's you've not played any of the new Super Mario Bros. Games. It's like how I felt about the Wii U
all
one.
3 of them look amazing.
And they're all good. They'll all be the game of the year. And it's like you got Zelda Breath of the Wild, haven't played that. Like Link's Awakening, which is the cute top down one, you haven't played that.
That looks amazing.
Yeah.
I reckon that'd be so good on the OLED.
It's always cheap as well. It's always around the like £35 mark.
There's things like Luigi's Mansion 3. There's literally like hundreds, probably thousands of hours
7
worth of
Pokemon
stuff.
games.
Yeah,
like you know what I mean?
that I can play on it. Plus, like I said, Nintendo do a good job of just like constantly churning out games.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get at least 3 more remasters in the next 12 months. I think. I think
you got Advance Wars. You've got
Advance Wars. You're definitely going to get one or both of those Zelda games. There's no way that they're not a thing. Like they're a thing. Like they're holding them. F-Zero has been that rumor for ages, which would probably be your game of the year if it came out. That would be your reason to play it on a TV. By the way, that would be the one that breaks you and turns that Pro Controller on. Because you will snap those little sticks playing F-Zero.
Will you play Prime on a TV or on handheld?
Probably handheld.
It's pretty good looking on an OLED, from what I'm told.
Yeah,
And to be fair, I've been playing. I hate the Switch in handheld, and I've been playing it with Joy-Cons as well because I can't find my Split Pad Pros. And I've been playing Metroid on that, and it's been fine. So with actual controllers, I imagine it's pretty good. I think the big question with the Switch for you, sorry, Pengy, before you go too far, Craigo, is are you at all deterred or sort of infused with the possibility of a second Switch? So if the Switch 2 were to come out in the next 12
I was just
months.
about to say this. So whereas like everyone else is so excited for like the next Switch or like a mid-gen upgrade or something like that, I'm kind of like, well, I've got so much other Switch stuff to play that I guess don't need it, although I know I would end up buying it. I guess it would also depend on if you'd hope that it's backwards compatible, right,
it will be.
guys?
Yeah, it will be.
You really hope so at this point?
This is the first one they haven't done backwards compatible in any way.
Yeah, because launches tend to be rough as well. Like launches for consoles, you tend to have like a big game, and then it does tend to like struggle.
Switch does Mario Kart 9, Craig. If the Switch does Mario Kart 9, then it's the best launch game of all time. That's a 1-to-1 attachment rate if they do Mario Kart 9 at launch. I'm just saying.
Yeah, so I don't know if they do another one fairly soon. I guess I'd buy it and then play whatever the big launch game is, and then I would have, hopefully, if it's backwards compatible, endless amount of Switch games that I could go back
Finally play Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. So it's hopefully positive the old Switch in 2023 for me.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing you. I'm looking forward to watching Pokemon Directs and Nintendo Directs with you. And you'd be like, yeah, I'll play that. And it's like some weird game that me and Chris played 25 years ago. And we're like, yeah, that was good. That was good. It was Gotcha Force. That was fun. I was there. I'm old.
You'd be like, this Zelda Wind Waker, but it's good. I'm like,
Wind Waker's a fun game. But Twilight Princess is also a fun game. But it's like, Metroid Prime is I'm fascinated what you think of Metroid Prime, because Metroid Prime is both very modern in the way that they've remastered it, but also it plays exactly like the game it is, which is weird. It's a weird sentence, but like it's a literal Metroidvania in 3D, and that's all the good and all the bad of that. It's all the good of like it doesn't really tell you where to go, but it does. And then it's like you kind of have to use the map. It's kind of like Jedi Fallen Order in that regard. Like it's a very similar map system and very similar progression system as well. So I'm curious. Also, it's
everyone hated the map in Jedi Fallen Order.
Yep, it was the worst thing. I mean, it's better than that, but like it's similar. But I mean, I still think from what I've played, it's the best looking Switch game, and I haven't played it on an OLED screen. I've played it on my Samsung TV, but like I think it's the best looking Switch game, which is mad because it came out in 2001. But what time to
it will be interesting if this Switch 2 or Switch 1.5, whatever it is, it comes out, because it will be nice to
Switch U.
Switch U. God, that'd be a thing, wouldn't it? Because there's always a caveat with Switch games at the moment. It's like how many times last year when Chris was talking about his and the Switch games was the thing. Well, it runs okay for a Switch, or the game's really good, but technically it's not that great on the Switch. Like it would be nice for them to kind of be like we just to draw a line in the sand, like oh no, the games just run well. Do you know what I mean? It would be.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it would be good to
for
get
you
rid of
as
that,
it's your handheld device, and I mean, like, because I think for you, I think the realization with the Switch and the chats that we had pre and since you've got a Switch is that you've really got room in your life for a handheld. So like, and that's right now. Like realistically, in the next year, you're going to have a job change that's going to enable you to have more handheld time. If you see what I'm saying. So like, for them to have a handheld, like if they do have a handheld and it's fairly comparable with an Xbox, you can then suddenly go, oh, do I buy the game on Xbox or whatever? Especially the non-Game Pass games, or do I, oh, actually, do I buy it on Switch because I can on Switch 2 because it looks pretty good and I can play it at work, I can play it in bed, like you know what I mean? Like the Switch is not at that point right now because it's just not powerful enough. But like the opportunity, the choice of being like, well, like this is a really bad example, but like if you were like, oh, I really want to play Call of Duty, but it's like, do I buy it on Switch and it runs at 1080p 60, but I can play it in bed, or do I buy it on Xbox for 70 quid, but it runs at 4K, but I can't play it in bed? Like I know it's a really bad example, but like it's the handheld pull of certain game franchises and genres can be quite powerful, particularly JRPGs. I think JRPGs work
I was
the
gonna
best
say
on
RPGs.
handheld.
Just like I was going to say about Prime, what I said about Dot. Like I've played Kirby this week, portable, and I think 2D games like Dread, Kirby, and I remember like playing Triangle Strategy. I think 2D games work great in a handheld. That's when I was like, well, Prime's a first person. I know you first been playing Gotham Knights, like a first person game, and like, do those games sort of work well in a handheld space or whatever? It might just be me, but I always think, that's one of the reasons I mainly also play Dot, because I'll play Tears of the Kingdom, and I'm like, well, this is a huge, massive action adventure game. I'm going to play that, on the telly where
See,
Theatre
that's
Rhythm or something.
also kind of says how you play games, because like when I think of Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, sorry, I think, oh, exactly what I did with Breath of the Wild. Like, it'd be really good to do all the little side quests just in handheld, or it'd be really good to explore the world in handheld. Because the combat isn't too difficult. It's not like, say, like for example, I do have on the Steam Deck, I haven't played it. I do have Devil May Cry, and I'm like, oh, that's going to be something on a handheld. But it's like, Zelda, we'll quite happily go and hunt for some bits and bobs, Craig. And just
imagine if they did the ultimate weird Nintendo decision, and the next thing isn't handheld. Oh,
that will be. They literally combined their divisions so that there isn't a separate division. So the next Nintendo console has the opportunity to be the least innovative thing they've ever done.
Yeah, it's going to be NES to SNES.
Yeah, like I don't know what they can do. Like I think
PS1 to PS2.
Yeah, like I feel like it could just be a literally more powerful Switch.
Which is what everyone wants, basically, isn't it? So.
And it sell like hotcakes. As long as it can play Switch games, and they keep bringing out Pokemon on Switch for the next 2 years, which they always do. So it's like, okay.
Yeah. And it improves things, because like Bayonetta 3 was like it's like one of the games that you're sort of using as my example. Like that game's great, but the frame rate does drop and stuff like
Well,
that. If there's more power, will it keep the frame rate on
yeah.
to the 60
To
frames?
be honest,
Yeah.
the case in point is Pokemon, isn't it? Like that's their biggest franchise. So like if they can make Pokemon Scarlet, which to be honest, like I said when it came out, it's probably my favorite Pokemon game, bar Gold. Like I think it's so good, but it ran like ass, and it's ugly. If that game was not ugly and ran at 60, oof, we're talking Elden Ring scores. Like it's that good. Like
You
it's
say 60, I'll just take a solid 30 frames.
solid 15 flames at this point, Chris. But like, you know what I mean? Like it's one of those. You're like, oh, make the online a little bit better. Like I know we talk about this every time Nintendo puts a console. I'm like, just make it so that we can connect it to a game and it runs. Like, come on, that isn't Mario Kart because that always seems to work. But anyway, but yes, the Switch very interesting this year. We'll know by the summer what's happening with it. I've said just on record for I don't want it to be a Switch 2 this year because I've got too many more expensive things I need to buy. So give me a Switch 2 March 2024. Perfect. Get it for my birthday. Everyone's a winner. Everyone's a winner.
How much do you reckon it would be? Because the OLED's what, 305?
It'd be between 350 and 400, like it always is. They never ever make it expensive. They always make a profit. They'll wait. The reason it's not out yet is they're probably waiting for chip prices to drop enough so that they can make what is essentially a Steam Deck, but make 50 quid profit on it because they make money on the Switch. They're not stupid, Nintendo, man. They know that their people can make the best looking game you've ever seen on a toaster. So, like, you're telling me that, like, you look at like Mario, and you're telling me that Mario's ugly. It's not, is it? Like, you'll load, Craig. You load up Metro Prime, and you'll be like, how does Pokemon look like a PS1 game, but this could be a PS5 game? Like, what the fuck is going on? When you get the jump scare, you're going to get the jump scare, Craig. I'm not going to warn you where and how, but you will get a jump scare because of a lighting technique that game has had since 2001. It will give you a jump scare, okay? I want you to remember me saying this, and then I want you to text me when it happens. And it'll be like, how the hell can this console achieve that? But then literally can't run Pokemon. So yeah, it'll be fine. Switch 2 will be great. Will that be the first console we all buy launch day? That's a statement for you.
Could be,
yeah.
Because me and Chris will, because we can't help ourselves.
Even if it just launches with nothing.
It'll launch with one game. They've done that before. That always works. When they launch with more games, it's rubbish.
Did the Switch launch with like one game?
The Switch launched with Breath of the Wild. It launched with Bomberman R. It launched with 1-2 Switch. It launched with Just Dance. And it launched with one other game. Chris, what was the other game?
There was Skylanders.
Skylanders, yep, on the physical side. This is how few games there are, Craig. I can name them all. Digitally, it had Snipper Clips, Fast RMX, Shovel Knight, and like one other game. That was the entire launch.
Little Inferno or something.
It was the same one that was on the Wii U, which I think was Little Inferno. That was the entire launch lineup. And if you remember, every person we knew that liked a Nintendo bought one. Some of us bought two. But like, yeah. Breath of the Wild was on a Wii U. It wasn't even an exclusive game. But yeah, it'll be fine. If anything, it'll be better. Like I said, when they make console launches with actual games, they're awful. Like GameCube had loads of games sold really badly. Wii U had like 30 games sold really badly. So, but yeah, Switch 2. So as for me, let's round off this absolute chaos. My newly found love for this year, and it's going 3 months strong now, is the Steam Deck. Which is very similar to Craig's Switch scenario, in that it's just really cool to play games handheld. And it's a different end of the spectrum because obviously the Steam Deck is more powerful than the Switch, but it suffers the same problems. In the type of games you play on Steam Deck have the same sort of downgrades from they do on the Switch. But being able to like tinker and play emulation games, utilize Steam's great power of being ridiculously cheap. Xbox remote play, I remote play so much because it just works, and it's like took me 10 minutes to set up, and it's such a comfortable machine, and the sticks are big and the buttons are big and the triggers are lovely, and it's like, okay, man, like this is like it almost feels to me like a gateway to PC gaming, which blows my mind because I've always been the most anti-PC gamer in the world. So it's like, but I'm sat here and I'm like, you know what? I'm more tempted to buy a game on Steam than I am on PlayStation because I'm more confident that Steam's going to be around in 6 months. Whereas my PlayStation, I'm like, I'm only one financial crisis away from my PS5 going on eBay, you know? But it's yeah, really enjoying the Steam Deck. As I'm gonna say, the last couple of months I've played a lot of games on it. I've got a lot of stuff I'm looking forward to play. Its only downside is the battery life. If you don't tinker enough, isn't great. But once you sort of find the sweet spot with performance, I think you get a good 6 to 7 hours. And for a handheld, you're not. If you're playing it more than that, you plug it in, right? That's the truth. The same with the Switch.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I love the Steam Deck. I think it is the one of the sexiest pieces of kit I've ever owned, and it's really the closest combination to the Wii U and the Vita, but with an actual library that I've ever had, because it feels like a Wii U to hold, and the quality of the games are like the Vita, but it has a library. Like I'm playing Gotham Knights on it right now, which is a game me and Chris actually both bought. I bought for really cheap on PS5. I actually sold the PS5 copy for £10 more than I paid for this bundle. So, money to charity and I made some money back. And I'm enjoying it. Like it's fun to play in handheld, like it's fun to play with headphones in and be like just go around the world and do some missions. The sticks on the Steam Deck are huge, Craig. Like they're proper sticks. It feels good, Playing first person shooters, it has gyro, which sounds really silly, but like when you're playing a handheld, it works. Like it works really well as like a little extra movement. And like Halo Infinite plays pretty well on it. Like Half-Life plays pretty well on it. And it's like, yeah, just having all these options, and it's really fascinating. I'm finding it very fascinating of how I think it's gonna go this year because I think Xbox will always live on in my heart because of Game Pass, and it's just too good a deal for me not to have an Xbox at any time because it's Game Pass. All of my social gaming is on Xbox, so if I'm gonna play with people, it's on Xbox. I'm not going to play multiplayer on PlayStation. Like me and Chris have had PlayStation since we started the show in 2015. How many times have we actually played online together outside of recording a video? Like not very many times.
No.
So it's like I'm never going to get rid of the Xbox. But when it comes down to like PlayStation, it's like I do always look at the PlayStation. I'm like, I'm not paying 70 quid to play any game. And it's like weird as well, Craig. And like, so how much is Hogwarts Legacy RRP on Xbox Series X and PS5? Is it Stephanie?
I think it's one of those weird ones where it's like $64.99.
Yeah, it's RRP on Steam Deck is $49.99, and it's way more likely to go on sale. So it's like, why would I just not play that on Steam Deck? It runs well.
Did you
It's
see
verified.
exactly what you predicted as well has happened with that, where they delayed the old gen versions?
Yeah, because like it runs fairly well on a Steam Deck, but like not well enough to set it on a case. Certainly not well enough for it to run on Switch. It's one of the best-selling games of the year.
Oh yeah, it's already like I think I saw in 3 weeks it's overtaken Elden Ring's like lifetime sales, and Elden Ring's obviously sold ridiculously well.
Another
So
game
it's
that
crazy.
is Steam Deck verified and runs at 60. And it's like, oh, it's cool. And it has the opposite thing to the VR2 right now as well, where I feel like there's a really big community for Steam Deck. Like I see a lot of Steam Deck videos still, and I see like Digital Foundry will talk about the Steam Deck version of a game pretty regularly. Like you say when they did the this is a really random example, Craig, but the Yakuza Like a Dragon Ishin video they did compared all the editions, including the Steam Deck version. Like it's not this weird forgotten thing that I think a lot of us thought it was going to be. Like it's a year old now, and like you can buy one. It takes about 2 weeks to get to you. Like it's sold over 1 million units. It's like okay, like it's a platform now. Like Valve isn't going anywhere, right? Steam's always going to be the main PC player. So to be able to have a device like that, that's it's just I haven't even started getting into the playing it docked and playing it with speakers and all this extra stuff I can do, So yeah, I'm really impressed with the Steam Deck. I'm really curious when we get to our end of year chat. I'm really curious where it stands in my most played platforms list because I could see it being easily top 2. I really could. I think it's always going to be there or thereabouts. Like Switch for me is opposite to Craig in a way in that I've played everything. So like it's really difficult for the Switch to go grab my balls and be like, "Hey Dave, you're going to sit here and play a game for 50 hours?" Because I'm like, I've played all these remasters. Like I've played every Pokemon game, I've played every Mario game, I've played every Zelda game. I'm like, it's really hard for the Switch to grab me with something new. Whereas on PC, it's like I haven't played any System Shock games, I haven't played any Half-Life games, I haven't played any BioShock, I haven't played really Resident Evil. I think Resident Evil handheld actually sounds like a pretty doable experience. Right, you know what I mean? Like it's not as terrifying for some reason, but it's like that, and like the JRPGs that just don't come to Xbox is another big thing. Like all the Atelier games, all of Chrono Trigger, which I've always wanted to play on, I've never played. Um, Even some of the Switch stuff, like Triangle Strategy, is on Steam. Forspoken, which is a PS5 exclusive, is on Steam. Steam, I know that I'm going to buy it, Craig. It's just an example. Like it's like, you know what I mean? Like it's this weird platform where I'm like, well, you know what? It could become. I don't. Will it ever become more than my Xbox? I don't think so because of Game Pass. But if they turn around and they go, "Hey, Game Pass is on Steam now," I'm like, "Whew, well, there it is, Craig." Suddenly, I'm earning
Yeah.
achievements playing in bed. Ooh,
That could be like the threat to my to the Switch if they if some sort of deal is done and there is Game Pass on the Steam Deck like natively, and suddenly I'm looking at it going, oh, I could just play all these Game Pass games in bed instead of the Switch, and like, oh, so that becomes a dilemma then.
the Steam Deck with you is funny because I think if I set up Steam, so if I gave you my Steam Deck with its setup now with Game Pass and Remote Play, and I was like, "Hey, buddy, borrow it for a month." Okay, get a slightly better wired connection for your Xbox. Like get the thing that goes in the plugs that I've got, and be like, hey, right, have it for a month, and then let me know what you think at the end of the month. I think you'd be like, $350 is not a bad price for that without even buying any Steam games. I think you'd be like, you know what? It's a lot cheaper than the other purpose-built pieces of hardware for the streaming stuff. Because I'm not even really talking about cloud. I don't cloud game that often on it. It's the remote play is nearly 1-to-1. There's almost no lag. It's ridiculous. And I'm like, oh, quite happily. Like my Xbox can be on, and I haven't got to turn my TV on. Or if you're like me and probably like Craig, I'll just switch over to YouTube on my TV and watch a streamer a sec. I'll watch Ray play Hi-Fi Rush while I'm playing Hi-Fi Rush in bed. It's a real dangerous game. I think it could break you if they did a SKU that was 250. I think you'd be like, you know what?
Yeah, and I feel like it's a situation where like there'd only be room for one. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah, I mean that's what's happened to my Switch has basically become a home console that gets cracked out for multiplayer sessions in the odd game. Like I'll always have a Nintendo console because me and a girlfriend or me and like friends, like when friends come over, like when you guys come over, like we'd be like, hey, let's play Mario Kart, play Mario Party, or the Mario Sports game.
It's the best.
It's the best at
thing
that
by far.
comfortably. Like the Steam Deck is ironically the one that could do it, but you'd have to have like a whole suite of emulation and like, sure, I've got 4 Xbox controllers, like I could make it work, but like, you know what I mean? Like if we're talking purely legal here, like purely straight up, then it's like, the Switch is always going to be king at that, and it's like, okay, so then what else falls? Like for me, it's like what else falls, and the what else falls is always going to be the PS5, which is funny, but I don't want to sell any of them if I can help it this year. But yeah, if there's one that was going to die, it would definitely be the PS5. I think the Steam Deck, I don't know what the bet was on you two, if there was a bet on if it would last a year, but it's a guarantee it lasts a year, unless it breaks. Like it's
I
fun.
can't remember what it was.
Yeah, it outlives anything else. Really. Like the Xbox, if they released a new Xbox, I'd probably upgrade my all access thing and get the new Xbox. But again, I've got it on a subscription till September 2024 was when my Game Pass runs out, Craig. So
Nice.
that ain't going anywhere, is it? But yeah.
I think as well. I guess with Sony putting more and more games on the Steam Deck.
Well, yeah, I
to
mean,
the point where it's like you can just play them on there.
So for you, again,
you want to play?
Not trying to sell you a Steam Deck, Craig, but you're just a good example, right? So you don't have a PS4 anymore, and you quite frankly, you're never going to buy a PS4. But you can play Sackboy, Returnal, Death Stranding, God of War, Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man Miles Morales, Uncharted 4, Uncharted Lost Legacy, Days Gone, Forspoken, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Is there anything else, Chris, I'm missing? Like all those games
Last
are...
of Us.
What did you say, sorry? The Last of Us Part 1. Yep, sorry, of course I forgot The Last of Us. But like all those games are on Steam. And sure they're being PlayStation priced, but they also get the fucking Steam sales very regularly. I think Days Gone was about £5 not that long ago, and I was like, well, do I double dip? Because that game's
and
fun.
you do have, like you said, like the weird Japanese
Yeah, so all of
RPGs that
the
don't go Xbox.
JRPGs that were exclusive to everything but Xbox, you have. Sure, like you ain't. That's not for you. Like, as much as I'd love to see you play Atelier Ryza, Craig. I think you're more likely to play Yakuza on Game Pass because they put everything on Game Pass. But it's like the fact that you can play all those games on a dedicated piece of hardware in bed. Like Spider-Man in bed is a great experience, I would imagine. It doesn't run that badly. Like it looks pretty good. Like it's better than a Switch game. Like you know what I mean? Like it runs better than Pokemon Scarlet. Yeah. The Steam Deck is a fascinating thing. I do wonder, like in terms of their new piece of hardware, I don't think you'll get a Steam Deck 2 this year. I think you'll get one eventually. But I am curious to see what else they do because obviously they've already got their VR headset. I wouldn't be surprised if they dipped into some other stuff. Steam, but we'll see. A Steam home console wouldn't interest me, but a Steam making my own PC that has Windows, so it has Steam and Game Pass. That could be the end game, if I'm honest, Craig. It could be the end game.
You can play Death Stranding on PC Game Pass and
Well, yeah, and MLB The Show. But like, it's one of those where, like, all jokes aside, like, the Steam Deck has the potential for me to be that gateway where all of a sudden I'm starting to double take. I'm starting to go, well, you know what? When the next set of consoles come out, I could just build a PC for the same price, and I can play everyone's games. Yeah, especially the older you get, when like you start living in a house, you're not living in a bedroom. It's like I can't take over the TV every night with my Series X and my PS5 and my Switch. So do I become everything I've ever hated and become a PC gamer? Maybe.
oh, what a show that would be, eh?
Well, it'd just be the same. It would just be me and you talking about Xbox, wouldn't it? It wouldn't change anything. The only thing that would change would be like when we play Halo Wars 2 or Age of Empires, I'll actually use a mouse. And I won't pay for Football Manager. That'd be the two differences. I'm joking. I'd still give them money. They deserve every penny I've got, Craig. 130 hours I've played a Football Manager this year. I haven't played it that much this year. I had a quick look. 130 hours. I was like, there we go. That's what you need.
I haven't played it in ages.
The update's gone live, and
myself.
I had a look at Taunton Towns earlier, and I think all they've really changed is that Will Tunnicliffe's gone out on loan. I don't even think they've added Cameron Evans.
He was on loan on the
I don't think they've actually changed Taunton, which I'm actually really disappointed in. Because I had a look and I was like, I'm sure that they signed Cameron Evans, and I'm sure Harry Warwick's gone. But they have not updated that. He was still on the game. And I was like, oh, has it downloaded? I was like, right, where's Ronaldo? Al Nassr. I was like, yeah, so it's updated. Bristol City is a lot more of attractive now because I think they've got money and Alex Scott's wanted by everyone. So, but anyway, as we've now veered into Football Manager chat, let's end this podcast. Thank you for watching. And what's your secondary system? If you got this far, tell me what your secondary system is. I would love to know. Are you interested in any of the ones we talked about? And of course, the final bit of bet: what lives longer, Craig's Switch, my Steam Deck, or Pengy's PSVR2? What are the lifelines like? But yes, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and we will see you next time.
Bye.